Okay, parents, teachers, camp counselors, bus drivers, anyone who has to deal with kids, what are the funniest things you've heard kids say? Any notable conversations? Hysterical kid logic? When my daughter was 7, she asked me what year I was born. I told her 1978. She replied, "Gasp of horror, you were born in the 19s." One of my favorite silly incidents was when a kid tried to get a pen from his pocket and then said, "Whoops, it's in my other pants," and then suddenly stuck his hand inside his pants and pulled out the pen. Dude was just wearing 2 pairs of pants for no good reason. That reminds me of a time when my brother couldn't decide between 3 shirts to wear for picture day, so he wore them all. I think he was about 6. Edit. He came home today from college and we were talking about it. I found out that it was in fact not 3 shirts, but 5. I'm a part-time nanny. The girl I care for was about 2.5 when she potty trained. She trained really quickly and had only had one other accident at this point. She got really engrossed in play, stood up, and froze as the pee ran down her leg. I was doing dishes and only saw her top half from the other side of the counter. But I'm also a preschool teacher and I know the look well. "Did you have an accident?" I asked, with a very serious look on her face. She said, "Go get the Clorox." I'm an embarrassment to this family. Clorox me off the family tree. My nephew, who is 7, loves sports. Anytime he gets to go to a Dong's Sporting Goods, he is in heaven because of all the sports gear. Lately, every time he walks into the store he inhales deeply and says, "I love the smell of dongs." Do us all a favor and never, ever let that kid live this down. A 3-year-old, upon rising from the floor, noticed her foot had fallen asleep. She rubbed it, looked at me and said, "Midzo, I have owie sprinkles." Best ever description of the sensation. When my son was a lot smaller he told me he had stars in his feet. Also a pretty colorful explanation of pins and needles. I used to be a PNA at a long-term care psych facility. My unit had about 16 preteen girls. One girl was fuming about her peers' behavior and she and I had this exchange. Me: "Okay, Liz, you removed yourself from the situation. That's great. What coping skills can you use to help yourself feel better?" Liz: "I'm already using my coping skills, cause what I really wanna do is choke the bee." I mean, to be fair, she was already using her coping skills. Boyfriend's daughter: "Dad, the dinosaurs are stinked, right?" "Yes, they are all gone. They all died a very long time ago." "Well, Jesus came back from the dead." "No honey, they're not coming back." That kid will kick your booty when she watches Jurassic Park. My younger brother didn't understand the concept of identity or something. I don't really know. He was like 3 years old and barely coherent. He'd always ask about things that he saw people doing, like why the man came to our house every day to deliver mail, or why girls played with dolls. He was also quite the talker, and whenever we would sit around and tell stories about our day, as people do, he would try and chime in with an anecdote of his own. Now of course, he also didn't understand the concept that these stories actually happened, so his would go like this. "When I was a girl, I would play with dolls all the time and make Barbie go up the stairs and cook dinner. When I was a mailman, I drove the truck around all the city and gave people letters. When I was older, I had a job and lots of money." My little brother did this. He made up stories of crazy things he had done. Dad would tell one of his stories, then my little brother would chime in the same hushed roll tone. "When I was your age." I was a camp counselor at a summer camp. This camp had a pool, so every day we had to get the kids changed into the pool, play with them, take them out, get them changed and ready for their parents to arrive. I am a guy, so I was assigned to work with the boys and they would all just dilly-dally and stand around naked, etc. One day I walk by and 3 guys are still naked, all comparing penis sizes. Keep in mind these guys are like 9, so they all are like the size of a Lunchables hot dog. Before I can tell them to knock it off and put some pants on, one of the older kids, who obviously was further along in his development, and thus a bit larger, spins around while standing on a bench stark naked and loudly proclaims, "Hey boys, take a look at this sausage." I just freaking lost it and went to tell another guy I worked with. That one was too much. I was babysitting my friend's kids and we were playing make-believe in the park. One kid wanted to be a superhero. One kid wanted to be a pirate, and one kid told me he wanted to be a sexy llama. Now I'm not one to harsh a kid's imagination, but there were a bunch of moms and kids in the park that I didn't know, and I didn't want a kid to be yelling out how sexy he was to me. So I asked him to maybe call himself a beautiful llama and he could be a sexy llama in secret. He agreed, but then proceeded to yell out, "Hey, look at me. I'm a beautiful llama. Just like you wanted me to be. Just like we talked about. I can keep our secret." This is Emperor Kuzco when he was a kid. My nephews and I have been watching Beat Bugs on Netflix. The theme song is All You Need Is Love. The 5-year-old said, "Why is love all you need? What about Nerf guns?" This is some philosophically deep crap right here. The funniest thing I heard while working at a daycare was a conversation that went like this. 5 yo, you're old. Me, I'm not that old, with a slight tone of indignation. How old do you think I am? 5 yo, the last number. I got my kindergartners to guess how old I am. First guess was 10, second was 100. I said I am definitely between 10 and 100 inches. Reassurance. One day my daughter leaned in and said to me, "Don't worry mommy, I love you and would never kill you." I had those little pop guns and would run to my parents and scream, "Hands up or I'll shoot." They dutifully complied and then I shot them anyway and cackled with glee. Children are freaking scary. My cousin's 2-year-old came twirling in a dress and declared, "I'm a princess." My cousin went, "You know honey, princesses are supposed to be nice and sweet. You can't be rude anymore and you have to stop shouting at people." The kid immediately screamed, "I don't want to be a princess." So my cousin asked her what she wanted to be, and she immediately replied with, "The boss." She has it figured out. I tutored a kid with Asperger's, who inevitably had wonderful ways of phrasing things. Me, "So how did you approach this math problem?" Him, "Well, first I tried x equals 4, and that did not bring about good fortune." This kid's focus was music, which was really cool. He could play a bunch of different instruments quite well. Me, "So what do you like to play?" Him, "Pink Floyd. I learn all the parts for each song." Me, "Oh, cool. What songs do you know?" Him, "All of them." Worked as a camp counselor for kids with special needs. This boy with autism got in trouble for back talking, so he and I went to the big boss to talk things through. Nobody spoke until the boy blurted if buttholes could fly, this place would be an airport. I had to leave the room because I was trying not to laugh. I'm an ESL teacher. I decided to teach the first graders the classic song Head, Shoulders, Knees and Toes. It seemed to go well and we moved on to something else. While absorbed in the new activity, the little boy at the front was quietly singing the new song he had just learned. Head, shoulders, cheese and toast, close enough I guess. Fries, steak seared, some trout, and a rose. Heads, shoulders, cheese and toast. I was watching the SpongeBob movie with my 4-year-old the other day and I was singing along to the "I'm ready" promotion part. She turned straight around, looks me dead in the eyes and said, "Mum, you don't even have a job." Well thanks kid, looking after you is enough for me. Ran a summer camp for a couple of years. 2 4-year-olds are sitting on the ground playing. I walked out for a second, came back in and I hear one say, "Yeah but my ship has a big penis." But never learned what that was about. Last year around the holidays, I was driving past a nativity scene with my 5-year-old nephew and my sil. My nephew yells, "Mama, why are they roasting that baby? We are not a religious family." We are not a religious family, so he should know why babies get roasted then. What a silly question. Walking around in Hobby Lobby with a friend the other day and overheard this in the next aisle. "Mom, reading from picture, I'm going to change the world someday. 3 or 4 yo." Child instantly replies, "No you're not mom." 2 of the neighbor's kids running around out back. Kid 1, "Don't run. Don't run. Remember you have cancer?" Kid 2, "It's called asthma." I asked an 11-year-old student, "How are you?" and his response was that he was happy because his sideburns finally grew in. My son is 5, and has started cottoning on about the differences between boys and girls. Myself and the wife are answering his questions biologically accurately, as we feel it's best he understands the proper words instead of the kiddie ones. The scene. Family dinner around the dining table. Everyone is eating quietly. I notice my son is deep in thought. From his expression I can tell question time is incoming. Son. Mummy? Mum. Yes dear. Son. Can I see your vagina? Mum. No. We are eating dinner and it is not appropriate. Son. But it's on the inside? Not like with boys? Mum. Yes that's right. Son. So it's right up your bum. Dad. Chokes on spaghetti. Bless him for that little gem this week. When I was about 5 I asked my mum if her pee-pee and her bum was just one long line from the front to the back. Definitely didn't understand the anatomy. I work at a community center that hosts a preschool and an after-school program. Wide age range. One little smart butt comes up to me and we have this delightful dialogue. Child, your hair looks like a bird's nest. I have long curly hair that afros a bit. Me. That's because birds live in my hair. Child, really? Me. Yeah, they're the kind of birds that eat little kids with blonde hair and green eyes and are named Tristan. Child, looks at my hair uncertainly then stares into my eyes with cold focus. Show me. Edits. Spacing and parentheses. I just pictured a little Morpheus from the Matrix. As my son was learning to talk, he had a problem pronouncing TR sounds and we didn't discover it until we were driving down a busy highway and he was identifying the vehicles that we would pass. Car. Car. Frick. Car. Big frick. Car. Later, he told my wife about my truck. Daddy frick mama and told our friend about its lack of cleanliness. Dirty frick. Uathrajig. Uathrajig. Being the pal he is. Bought my son the big book of trucks and my wife almost killed him. Barely made it out alive. When my students were lining up for lunch one day, we heard an alarm go off, but not a tornado, fire drill, or lockdown alarm, probably just a glitch in the system. Without missing a beat, one of my students says, stop, drop, and roll and casually bent down and rolled a few feet. Just the randomness of it and how committed he was to the joke had me holding back laughing so hard my stomach hurt. His actual teacher, since I'm student teaching, gave him silent lunch. I was a preschool teacher for a year and one of the girls in my class, Molly, was from a two-mommy family. Molly was extremely well adjusted for the average 4-year-old, referred to one of her parents as mommy, the other as mama. One day we had a drop-in, new kid for just a day, who was playing house with Molly. As the two girls were putting on aprons in the dress-up area I overheard this conversation. Drop-in, want to play house? Molly, sure. Who do you want to be? Drop-in, I want to be the mommy. Who are you going to be? Molly, okay I'll be mama. Drop-in, no I want to be her. Molly, okay I'll be mommy. Drop-in, but I want to be the mommy. Molly, okay then I'll be mama. Drop-in, but you said that I could be the mommy. Molly, I know. Drop-in, well then who are you going to be? Molly, mama. This conversation went back and forth at least 8 times with both Molly and Drop-in having an escalation in frustration and anger. I just sat in the corner and let it all play out, laughing my butt off. I was so interested in hearing how Molly was going to explain same-sex marriage to this 4-year-old girl, but unfortunately that didn't happen. Molly simply didn't know that there was anything to explain. I remember her looking at me for help with an expression of utter confusion across her face. Eventually I had to intervene and just said something along the lines of, you can both be whoever you would like, it's just pretend. This was in 2004. I worked with a little girl with 2 mothers. When she started attending preschool, she learned that her peers had a mommy and a daddy. Since she already called one mother mommy, she decided that obviously her other mother must be daddy. When she wasn't getting her way with one mother, she would start screaming, I want my daddy, I want my daddy. Her mothers thought it was hilarious. My kids and I were stopped at a red light, about to turn left. This light was a typical left arrow light, instead of a circle. My son was 4 at the time, and my oldest daughter was 10. So there we are stopped at the red light when this happens. Him. Mom. Is hate a bad word? Me. No. But it isn't nice to tell someone you hate them. Him. Oh. Mom. Me. Yeah buddy. Him. I really freaking hate this light. I whipped my head around in time to see my oldest daughter lean as far away from him as she could. Oldest daughter. Ooh number. Me. What did you say? Him. What? I freaking hate arrow lights. Oldest daughter. Dude. You can't say that word. Him. Looks at his sister and me with a look of confusion. Mom. You said hate wasn't a bad word. I love that your daughter backed away like oh lord here it comes. I was watching two 5-year-old girls try to lean a hand clap song, where they had to hit hands diagonally across. One of them kept messing up and the other girl charmingly shook the other with both hands saying you simply don't understand it. Don't worry, it's not your fault, you're just stupid. Was a preschool teacher and had this awesomely creative kid who would make up these elaborate storylines when he was playing. One time I overheard him playing and he had set up his guys, the sort of toy people we had, in a battle and had Martians fighting Jews. Yeah, Martians versus Jews, and the Jews were the bad guys in this scenario, which, well, yeah, that's bad. And I was shocked cause I knew his parents pretty well and they were super mega liberal, like, his mom was a teacher and his dad was a stay-at-home dad who sometimes wore skirts just cause he found them comfortable. So this shocked me. So I sort of sidled up to him and this conversation happened. Me. So, buddy, what's going on with your guys here? Kid, the Martians are fighting the Jews. The Jews invaded the Martians' territory so the Martians have to fight them and win. Me. Whoa. So, where is the Martians' territory? Kid, looks at me like I'm stupid. Mars. They are Martians. Martians are from Mars. Me. Ah. And the Jews? Where are they from? Kid, Jupiter. Martians are from Mars. And so I think if there are aliens on Jupiter, their name would be Jews. Me. Ooh. Jews, not Jews. Should have just told him the proper names is Jupes. I taught inner city kids through a volunteer group. They were sometimes awful to each other in hysterical ways. One of my 11-year-old girls was coloring a picture. This boy Robert kept messing with her, like tugging her paper while she was drawing and knocking into her pencil. Finally she slammed her hands down and yelled, "Why don't you go visit your dad?" Picking up trash on the freeway with the other inmates. Obviously I intervened, but inside I was dying laughing. He fricked with the wrong girl. Holy crap. She knows real life a tad too early unfortunately. Oh my god, the savageness, but still dang funny. Was at a buffet style restaurant getting some salad. Noticed a man walking up to the salad bar holding hands with his very young, appeared to be around 4 years old, daughter. As they got up to the table he bent down and asked, "What would you like, sweetie?" She looked up at him with an irritated expression and said, "Well, how am I supposed to know if you don't pick me up so I can see?" And then, "Get your crap together, John." My mom was a camp counselor back in the day in southern Ohio and tells this story all the time. She helped inner city kids experience the outdoors for the first time. One kid was scared of a pig and proclaimed, "Get that wolf away from me." The speech bubbles were attributed to the wrong beings in his version of the big bad wolf and house pigs. We had a Kona ice truck come every Friday for the kids, and when they would get their shaved ice some kids would go pack and just fill their cup up with the flavoring syrup. One kid gets the bright idea to go around and start pouring water into the cups that have just syrup. One girl in particular was so amazed by it that she went, "Wow, you can really taste the water." For context, my little cousin, 6 at the time, called me over Hangouts for a video call. I was sick at the time. Here's the conversation. Me. "Do you want to see auntie?" "I'll take the phone to her." Her. "No, you can't go see her." Me. "Why don't you want to see auntie?" Her. "I want to see auntie, but you're sick." "YTB, you'll get auntie sick." Me. "AWW, that's so sweet. Wait, don't you care if I'm sick?" Her. "Auntie has a car and can buy me candy. You don't. So I don't care." And that was the day I was put in my place by a first grader. The obvious answer is that you're already sick, so there's no saving you, and that seems quite sensible to me. I teach private English classes in Spain, and one day I was having a class with a 14-year-old boy, really nice kid, and we get on very well, but his level isn't brilliant. Anyway, he was telling me about this kid in his class who is gay and had recently exited the wardrobe. It was outstanding. He's one of the few that has discovered the gays come from Narnia. When my son was 3, he was walking toward the Christmas tree with his hand out. My ex-wife told him to be careful with the tree, and he replied, "It's okay, mama, I won't frick it up." Couldn't really punish him when he used it in the right context. "I won't frick it up" would actually be a lot more reassuring to hear from my toddler than "I'll be careful." My youngest kid recently told me he thought the lyrics for the Rolling Stones song were, "You can't always get what you want, but if you cry sometimes, you get what you need," which actually kind of explains a lot. We have a saying in Spanish, quien no llora, no mama, or he who doesn't cry, doesn't suck, meaning doesn't get breastfed. After having a baby, I completely understand the meaning. My 8-year-old cousin always makes me play schools with her. She is always the teacher and she really goes off on a power trip, giving me detentions for not showing my working on long division and telling me that my attitude won't fly at Cambridge. A little girl, a kindergartner, came up to me with a picture of a crooked mountain and random cats at different points. She described the job of each cat while making facial expressions. "This first cat, that's the greeter cat. He says hi, she waves. The second cat, he warns you to stop. She holds out her hand and mouths stop. The third is the cat of death. You went all that way and a cat warned you, but no, you didn't listen. So the cat of death shreds you to pieces and eats you, makes clawing and biting motions. Then she looks up sweetly, asking if I liked her story. I said yes." Another is one of my favorites at my work. He's this sassy little kid in 1st grade that tells other kids off. His name's Gabe. One day, he was playing with his best friend Harper, also one of my favorites, and they were building Lego houses. Harper talks about how he's definitely his parents' favorite, and he says that he never gets in trouble and he's the perfect kid. Gabe pipes up, "That's a lie," and Harper says, "Yee, I know." Another incident with Gabe. He once was playing with a Lego planet that split into 2 spheres. He runs up and says, "Miss Labana, watch this," and stuffs the spheres up his shirt and goes, "Ooh, boobies," and runs off to let the other little boys see. I almost choked on laughter and told his mom, who turned red with trying not to laugh. Last one was this kid named Chase. He liked playing with sticks, also in 1st grade. One day, he picks up a big stick and runs up to kids, trying to shove it in their butts. The kids run away screaming as little Chase runs with the big stick. Determination in his eyes, he corners a poor kid against the school and we have to run and stop him. He got his stick privileges revoked for the rest of the year, but he has them back this year. Now he enjoys hitting trees with their own sticks until we tell him to stop. Determination in his eyes. Jesus. Camp counselor here. For my camp, we all gather at a hotel in a major city, then all drive up together on 2 coach buses. I had a group of 8-year-old girls, and most of them were kind of shy and tired. Early morning, and first time at camp for some. There was one girl who was very hyper, though, and did not stop talking for the entire 2-hour drive. She told me she was named after a baseball field, among other random tidbits about herself. About 3 minutes from arriving to camp, she said, "I'm going to go to sleep now." I figured she was just kidding around and would do a mime of sleeping. Nope, she fell asleep. I had to shake her for several seconds and call her name loudly a few times to get her to wake up. She fell dead asleep in 5 seconds. How? I worked at after school daycare for elementary students when I was in college. First day on the job, saw a boy and a group of girls arguing. Started making my way over there, and before I could get there, friend of the boy got there, put his around his friend's shoulder, and told the girls, "You girls are nothing but drama. Come on, Sean, we are blowing this popsicle stand." Kid was only 8 years old, had me laughing for days. My sister-in-law is a 1st grade teacher. She had a student who didn't want to relieve himself when he was obviously doing a tap dance right in front of her. She asked him to go to the restroom but he refused. It seemed that he really wanted to finish an activity with his friend. She pressed him more and asked why he can't just go real quick, to which he responded that he ate a lot of bread so it should soak it up. That kid is a reincarnated alcoholic. I'm not any of the above, but I once had a kid tell me her mom was a naughty person, and she knew it because she overheard her dad calling her mom a naughty little thing in the bathroom once. I'm not any of the above. Anyone who has to deal with kids, you're that one. you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.